All right, I think we are ready to begin. I just want to welcome everybody back. For those of you who are joining, who have been here before, say hello to some of the newcomers. Welcome to an edition of Meet the Miniaturist. This is the third one we're doing, and you know, this is just a great way for people who are interested in miniatures to connect with miniaturists, with you know, some of the miniaturists that you might have been following for a long time, and now you get to actually interact with them and talk with them. We were hoping to get Jimmy live here, and we had some technical glitches, but he is on my phone right now. Say hello, Jimmy.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for getting online with us.
So we do have him here, and I hope you can hear him. But what we're going to do is meet the miniaturist, Jimmy Landers. I want to tell you a little bit about Jimmy before we actually get to talk to him. So, I mean, when I met Jimmy, it was before this got him here. It's just, I was just stunned by his work, because his work is amazing. And we're actually going to try to not only meet him, but also take a really good look at one of his most impressive pieces of work to date, which is called the Sahlberg. So I'm going to take myself off the screen. I'm going to put the PowerPoint I have created for this up so that we can look at least at images for now while we talk to Jimmy. But just keep in mind that we're going to have some time for questions and answers at the end of the session. But at any point, if you have questions, put them in the chat box. If you're watching us live on Facebook, go ahead and put questions in the comment section. We'll try to get to as many as possible. But, you know, definitely let us know what's on your mind, what you're thinking, what you're liking, what your questions are. And if we can get those questions out to Jimmy to answer maybe on Facebook at a later date. So with that, I'm going to introduce Jimmy and have him tell us a little bit about himself, talk about his connection to miniatures, and then of course, you know, talk about the work he's done up until this date, which has been probably his masterpiece of miniatures to date, called the Salhberg, which is an impressive 9-room cabinet house, which we'll talk about, you know, in more detail with some images that you see on the screen. So with that, Jimmy, thank you so much for being here and for doing this. And what we'd love to know is a little bit about you. You know, I know you spent a lot of time in the corporate world, in sales, and at one point you made this switch after retirement and you made your first miniature. And it was a special miniature structure from what I remember after talking to you, and it was for your wife. Is that true? Is that how it all began?
Yes, it is, Darren. I appreciate the opportunity to share some of my background with your audience. I was in the corporate world for 19 years and went into retirement in the year 2000, and was looking as a senior something to keep me busy. And I looked at several different opportunities. None of them seemed to sit well with me. And then one day my wife, which has been a miniature enthusiast for 50 years, I guess, asked me to build her a dollhouse. And I said, well, you know, I've never built a dollhouse, but, you know, what do you want? And so she said, I'd like a colonial. And I said, okay. So I ordered material, got some tools, and built a colonial for her. It took me about a year and a half to build it. And I will tell you this, don't ever build a dollhouse upstairs in the room before you measure the door casings. I had a quarter of an inch space to bring it out of the room I built it in. So from now on, I learned to go into the garage to build all of my structures.
Right.
I I went to called Tom Bishop. Some of you may or may not be familiar with the Tom Bishop International Show in Chicago. I called Tom Bishop, and he found space for me at his show. So I just wanted to actually show the piece. I had no intention of selling it because I didn't think it would have any specific value.
So wait, so Jimmy, the dollhouse that you made for your wife, you went to go show it at the Tom Bishop show?
Yes, I just wanted to get the reaction of the miniature public, and so I go to the Tom Bishop show in Chicago, and it's on display.
Right.
5 minutes after the show opens, a lady came up and said, "May I look at it?" I said, "Sure you can." I didn't say it was for sale or not for sale. Anyway, she spent about an hour looking at it, and she left. About 2 hours later, a gentleman walked up and said, "Is this for sale?" And I said, "Well, it could be." And he asked me, "What do you want for it?" So I told him, I said, "I want $30,000." He said, "Is it worth it?" And I said, "Every penny." He said, "How do I pay for it?" "How do I pay for it?" I said, "Well, how about wiring the money to me?"
Yeah, there you go.
This is on a Saturday. On Monday morning, my banker called me and says, "I don't know what you did, but somebody just deposited $30,000 into your checking account."
So your first structure.
So I told my wife, I said, "Well, I'll bill you another one someday." She said, "Not a problem." But then I came home and I said, this might be something that I could enjoy doing as a hobby,
Right.
and it would be financially rewarding.
Right.
So that was the beginning of my career in the miniature world.
So your first dollhouse was a hit, a smashing hit. And I don't know if people know this, but you are a full-size builder as well. You built your own house. Can you talk just a little bit about the house? Because I know that you're also, your work is very period-oriented. You don't just do any dollhouse. You do period pieces, historical pieces, and your full-size house is actually an historic structure, right, that you built yourself. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, well, I designed my personal home on a laptop when I traveled quite extensively, and I bought an architectural CD, designed the home in flight. And when I retired, I came back to Indiana, which is my wife's home area, and was a general contractor on building the home itself. And it's a one of a kind, just like my work. People come in here and they say, "We'll never seen anything quite like it." In fact, one of my friends said, "Did you have to get a special permit for all the trim?" But
Right.
Anyway, so back to miniatures. I do not put any work on anything on paper.
Right.
I design from my mind. I don't copy anything. I don't do any research. I really favor the Victorian era architecture, but I also took some time off to build. If any of you are familiar with my work, I built what I call the 1900 series. It was a vintage retail stores of the early 1900s, and so I built 9 structures, and then decided that was enough, and then I moved into. Then I decided to build a big one, so I built, if you're familiar with my work, the Salhberg, which is a 7-foot country Victorian. It took 2 years to build. So after finishing that, then I built a series of painted ladies, San Francisco painted ladies. These are designed to be mounted on a wall.
Right.
Some of you may be familiar with that.
So what is your process? Talk a little bit about the process, because you say you don't work with plans. It's all in your head. What does that mean?
Well, that means that I couldn't do it again. I could never do it twice because I don't have any plans. I design as I go in my mind. Sometimes I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with an idea, and two pots of coffee later, I've got that idea that I thought of in my sleep, and actually, in the works. But
Right.
I don't know. I've talked to several miniaturists. Barbara Sabia is an example, and Barbara does the same thing. She said that she doesn't look at anybody's designs. Everything comes out of her mind.
Right. But there is a particular style you like. You mentioned the painted ladies. Did I say that right? But your style is it runs the gamut from ornate to traditional, but definitely has full-on detail, lots of work, lots of woodwork intricacies. Is that something you're drawn to when you're making these pieces? Like, where does that come from?
Yes, I love the applying the fancy trim to my work,
Right.
and I think people that know my work admire that the detail that I put into it. I've had numerous people see photographs of my work and say, "Is that a real structure? Is that a real home?"
Right. Right.
I'm a realist. I don't like playing any miniature personally that don't resemble a real structure itself.
Right.
I also have a fondness for larger space rooms. I don't understand anybody that builds an architectural structure or a dollhouse with an 8x8 room. You can't put any furniture in it.
Right.
You certainly can't accessorize it.
Right.
You can't see the detail in it.
Yeah.
It's all lost.
And I think that's what makes your work so impressive, is that you do work in full big size. And so there's a lot of opportunity to see more and get more and for you to build more. So I definitely think that's something that that makes your work so impressive, is that you do build in these big rooms. So there's just so much detail.
Well, a 20 by 20 is a standard room for me. If the structure
Right.
will allow it, because to me that's the size that allows me to do a lot of detail in the trim package. Yet when the collector purchases my piece and accessorizes it, my trim's not lost and their furniture's not lost. They complement each other.
Right.
I'm also am a stick builder. That's a method of building that is a lost art. Not many stick builders left in the miniature world. Everybody's just using solid plywood, composite wood materials. But I prefer 80% of my pieces are stick built from scratch.
So stick built means from scratch?
It's from scratch. I frame it just like a real home.
Oh, so you frame it. You frame them.
I frame it out.
You frame them out. That's awesome.
I frame them out.
That's amazing.
That also allows you the capabilities of wiring the structure itself. That's an intricate part of my work. All my work is totally electrified. I have base plugs, ceiling plugs. You can, and most of my pieces come with chandeliers. I buy some very expensive chandeliers for my pieces. I get it from some of the renowned lighting people in the United States. But I like to bring the piece to the show. That's where I sell my work.
Yeah.
Bishop. I like to bring it to the show ready to accessorize. All you have to do is plug it in and accessorize it.
Well, so I think that that's also another great point in terms of your work is that a lot of them are collaborations, in the sense that you commission fine artists to produce pieces for you that go into your work. And also you name a lot of your work after some of the artists that you work with. I think that's it's such a nice honor to the people that you're working with, which actually takes me to the Sahlberg, which is one of your largest pieces to date. What I'd love to know is at what point did you wake up and say, I'm going to create this masterpiece?
I had been thinking about the Salhberg, not the name, but the cabinet itself, probably for 5, 6, 7 years, knowing that I would have to dedicate at least 2 to 3 years to the project. And I just got to a point in my life that I said, well, if I'm ever going to build the big cabinet piece that I keep thinking about. I got to do it now.
Yeah.
So so I decided to go ahead and then, as you said, there are things that I don't produce, like chandeliers and certain things that are incorporated in the Sahlberg.
Right.
Leaded glass, stained glass panels.
Yeah.
That come from the top artists in the world.
Right.
Have worked with me over the years.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Sahlberg, you'll be able to see some of the Grand Masters' work incorporated in it. You're not just buying me. You're buying.
That's right.
You're buying quite a few of the masters in the industry.
So Jimmy, what we're looking at, you can't see because you're on the phone, but I do have a photograph of the Sahlberg up, a full shot of the entire cabinet house. What I'd like to let people know is this is actually a two-piece cabinet. I mean, it's a two-piece, it's a two-part piece. There's a table portion, and then there's the cabinet itself. The photograph that we're looking at right now has the actual glass doors taken off, so you can have a really great view of the entire piece itself. So just some highlights before we talk about some of the detail behind each of the rooms, but some of the highlights to this this piece is there are 9. First of all, the cabinet is over 6 feet long, correct, and 5 feet high, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what it's made of, about their special hardware. Before we go into the rooms, tell us about the cabinet itself that houses all the rooms.
Well, after I completed the unit, I knew it had to be displayed in an elegant cabinet. So I commissioned a cabinet maker to build this table and the cabinet itself. It's cherry, and it's really has a lot of intricate detail in the carvings on the front legs. But it's a beautiful cabinet, and it definitely complements the Sahlberg in itself.
Right.
And and it's a one of a kind again.
Yeah.
The cabinet maker and I collaborated in the design, and,
right.
And that was the end result. But it's a piece of art in itself.
That's true. Yeah, what I've been saying, actually, this is, the Sahlberg is a masterpiece of architecture, design, as well as art. So, and Sahlberg comes from one of the folks that you had commissioned to help you with the lighting. Is that right?
Right, Carl Sahlberg.
Carl Sahlberg.
A good friend of mine lives close to me.
Yeah.
And Carl's been wiring all of my structures from day one.
Yeah.
He's a master miniature electrician.
Right. So overall, we're looking at 9 rooms, 6 feet by 5 feet high. And I think one of the most stunning parts of the Sahlberg is the 3-story grand foyer, which is center in the unit, three stories, full winding curved staircases. Tell us a little bit about this amazing feature.
That was my first venture into curved stairs. It's complicated and very, very, very time consuming. The design itself is typical of any curved stair structure, but it took me 6 months.
6 months.
From 6 months from the layout to the installation of
right.
of the stair system itself. The balusters, you may call them spindles, but the balusters I designed, I turned the balusters on in wood, and then I commissioned Michael Yurkovich to cast the balusters in resin. And there's
hundreds.
I'm trying to think.
Hundreds.
There was 400 or 500 balusters in there. But
yeah.
The stair was the most complicated part of it because I never built the stair system before. I had to you just had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I did. But if you look at the floor on the first floor.
Yeah, we actually Hey, Jimmy, I have a photograph of the first story, the first floor grand foyer, so they can see the marble floor, and they can see the Corinthian columns that lead to the rooms to each side. So yeah.
That the marble floor is over 3,000 pieces of real marble.
Real marble.
Real marble is over 3,000 pieces. I had that cut in England. That the floor comes from England. Richard Stacy made that for me. I laid out the design, and he cut the marble for me. And then you have a two-tiered chandelier, if you can see it.
Yep, they can see the chandelier.
I commissioned that from Lighting Bug, Linda Orloff, which is a good friend of mine, and I drew a sketch of what I wanted, and she replicated it in real life. And then if you'll move up to the dome, the leaded glass dome.
Yep.
That is Barbara Sabia.
Right. Right.
She's a grandmaster in leaded glass, stained glass. There's probably not two people in the world that do work comparable to Barbara. So you've got, there's items in that grand foyer that are all custom made.
Right.
I make the doors. If you can see those black doors and stained doors, I make my own doors. I always use oversized doors and windows which are not available in the open market. So I have to build all my doors and all my windows from scratch.
Right. Yeah. Again, we're back on that first page, the first lower level with the double doors in the grand foyer, so they can see a picture of that. So you've got a double-tiered chandelier. I think there are 12 arms between the two layers, and then I think there are 30 sconces throughout the entire house. Does that sound right?
Yes, those were one of a kind, custom made for me.
Awesome.
Again, by Lighting Bug.
And what is the material again on the handrail and the treads? Is it cherry wood or mahogany?
No, the handrails are
Cherry. Okay.
Handrails are cherry.
So I actually pulled up, there's a photograph of the ceiling dome that you just talked about. That was by Barbara Sabia. What I think is so incredible about this this grand foyer is that, from an artistic standpoint, is that when you go from the lower level, you can actually look at the chandelier, and when your eye goes up towards this gorgeous stained glass dome that is what is strategically lit. I mean, this is lit from behind, and I know you've done a lot of work trying to make this house look amazing with how it's lit, correct?
Correct. I pay a lot of attention to the lighting. I use hidden LED strips. It's LED ribbons. They're 8 different inch wide, and they're hidden so you can't see them from the front. But all of my rooms are lit with LEDs, and which completely eliminates shadow.
Right.
I'm a stickler for having shadow. If you build a room, you should be able to see the room. So I light them up so there are no shadows in any of the rooms.
Right. I love the thinking behind that, because I think lighting is so important. And again, that is what makes this transition from a miniature to a work of art. So there, I'm showing another image of the stained glass window, which, by the way, the stained glass window dome is 13 inches wide. So if you want to translate that into miniatures, this is a 13-foot, into real life, this would be a 13-foot dome. So it's quite impressive. It's beautiful when it's lit like this, and just stunning, stunning, stunning. I also just put up a more of a close-up image of the two-tiered chandelier that folks can see if they're looking down from the dome that the light gets attached to. And there's also an image of the marble floor in the grand foyer. And then finally, go ahead.
By the way, the globes on all of the Scots chandeliers are acrylic. you can't glue them down, otherwise you wouldn't have access to exchange to removing and replacing the bite pins. So they have to. You just have to let them float in the sockets, and if they fall off of glass, it breaks. So I ordered acrylic just to make sure that you didn't be have a bunch of broken globes.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're stunning. I love the fact that you have this mix of incandescent light and LED light, which brings a natural light into the cabinet house and to the room boxes or to the rooms. And then you have incandescent light, which gives you that warm feeling like you're actually in one of these rooms in this cabinet house. So I actually go ahead.
The two complement each other. And every piece I ever build, I use that technique on all of my pieces, and it definitely complements each other.
Yeah. So we're actually I've transitioned the photographs to what I think is the next most amazing part of this cabinet house, which is this two-story library, which is filled with thousands of books, with inset bookcases, brass rods that have ladders that go through it. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I don't know, what could we talk about first in this amazing piece?
Well, let's talk about the books. There's 2,221 books in the library. If you were to go to your brick and mortar store, you'd pay $5 a book. So that tells you, I didn't pay that, by the way, but if you bought the book at the store, it'd be $5 a piece. And there's 2,221 books in the library itself.
All right, talk about this incredible ceiling, which is on the first level. It's a coffered ceiling, right? And it's got copper. Talk about this. It looks like copper.
The coffered ceiling is copper.
Hand hammered, right?
Hand hammered copper.
It's truly stunning. It just is. I could spend days looking at this.
Well, that's the problem. People that like at the shows, they will take a look and then they'll come back an hour later and say, "Well, I didn't see that." And an hour later, I didn't see that. I mean, the different components within the library really are, just boggle your mind when you start looking at it. But
you have also you included some really. This was supposed to be the gentleman's library, correct? Like sort of more of a masculine portion, because there are some details here that you included that really highlight that this is sort of the man's portion of the structure. You've got the taxidermy. You have the musket. That's gun.
Yes, that's an 1883 flintlock.
Yeah, I mean, those details are just what I think brings this whole portion of the cabinet house to life. And then talk about this spiral staircase.
Okay, the spiral staircase was common in that era, and it still is on two-story libraries. But I commissioned Terry Harble to build that for me. Because that was one of his specialties. So why should I take time out, on a 2-year project to do something that he could do in a week's time? So I commissioned that spiral from Terry Harble.
What are the main materials?
It's cherry.
It's cherry, and even the winding the banister. Is that metal?
It's wood.
It's wood.
No, it's wood.
It's curved wood.
You actually could call it a dowel.
Oh, it's a dowel.
It's a dowel. Yeah.
A dowel. And you.
It was steamed. You take a dowel and put it in a steam cabinet.
Oh, steamed. So they can't see this, but there is actually etchings on each tread. There's design work on the treads, correct?
Right. That was done with a laser.
Beautiful. And then the inlaid base, which is gorgeous.
Yes. And when you get to the bottom of the parquet floor, there's 2,700 pieces of parquet, and that was I commissioned that from Frank Crescenti, which is also a master light maker. But Frank Crescenti supplied me the parquet floor, but it's 2,700 pieces.
2,700. That's just crazy.
And he made a mistake and threw me in a bag.
Right.
Which I'll always remember him for doing that, because it took me a month to sort out the jigsaw puzzle.
So in addition, I'm showing them a shot of the lower level of the library. And in addition to the stained glass dome that Barbara did, there's actually 10 floor-to-ceiling stained glass windows in the cabinet house. 10, two in each room. And then there are 5 plaster fireplaces throughout the whole house and the cabinet house. And then each fireplace has either a gilded gold framed mirror or a plaster mirror over the mantles, right?
That's correct. Those were supplied to me from Sue Cook in England. When I build a structure, I take photographs and send them to Sue, and then she'll call me from England, typically on a Saturday because her shop is closed. She'll call me on Saturday, and we'll go through her inventory, and she will say, well, I recommend this, and I recommend that, and then what kind of colorization you're going to put on it, and she'll custom make all of this from the photograph that I send of each individual room.
Right.
And they really complement the rooms.
It sounds like it's a very collaborative process. I want to talk just a little bit about this lower level ceiling, which the moldings and the millwork is just incredible. What would you call this ceiling? It's got a lot of detail. It's not I don't know what you would call it, but it's beautiful.
It doesn't have a name. It's just, again, it's my imagination. I don't know where it comes from because I don't have any training or background, but I can just see it, in my mind and lay it out. I usually lay it out dry before I glue it, and to make sure that it does satisfy my needs, and then I will glue it in.
Right.
But, that's just straight out of my imagination, and I really don't know where it comes from.
So let's talk about, in addition to the grand foyer and the 2-story library, there are 4 other very impressive rooms, including a dining room, a parlor, and a master bedroom, and either a guest bedroom. I think we talked about that it might have also been, it's really whatever the ultimate owner of this structure wants to make it. But there are 4 additional rooms that are quite impressive. And I just wanted to highlight just some of the details. So there's textured wallpaper, which is reminiscent. It's period wallpaper that would have existed at that time period. Each room has a chandelier. Each room also has a random plank mahogany floor, some with beautiful borders, and some of the ceilings are actually recessed, correct?
Correct, yes.
So now, tell us a little bit about the work that went into these other rooms, because they're just as impressive.
Well, again, if you're looking at the photographs, you can see that I spent a lot of time on trim detail. It's period correct detail, and the reason I can say it's period correct, not that I do a lot of research, but anytime my wife and I travel and I have an opportunity to go into an 1800 piece of property that's like a museum open to the public, I'll do it. And this is what my trend that you see is what I've observed in some of the most magnificent structures in America over my lifetime. But Sue Cook's fireplaces really stand out, and then of course you got the LED lit flickering flames, so you have a natural fireplace effect.
Right.
The floors are all 3/8 mahogany, and if you'll see some in one or two of the floors, I think one of the floors, you'll see some inlay. That's walnut.
Oh, so you use a different wood for the inlay, not even a different stain.
So it's no way to put them together and then stain that piece. It has to be a darker wood in order to accent from the color of the mahogany. mahogany's got a unique grain in it, which I thought was really, really complemented the structure itself. Oak would not have worked, in my opinion. The cherry would have been okay, but the problem with cherry's got a fairly pronounced grain in it, and the mahogany is a very petite pattern in it. And so that's the reason I chose, to go to mahogany. And they're all random boards, 3-inch, 6-inch, 9-inch, 12 inches, and all the floors are sealed with a satin polyurethane. I've got
Beautiful.
2 coats of satin polyurethane on them.
Yeah. We're actually looking at a photograph of the dining room, first floor, and I just wanted to point out that every fireplace has its own real granite hearth.
Yes. I like to use granite because it's a black product. I mean, you always use black, but it's just a material of choice that I've always used. What I do is just have half a dozen hearths made up to be used as I build my structures, but all of them I get them from England. That granite comes from England.
Yeah, I'm showing them a photograph of the parlor, which has a 6-arm chandelier. It's got a faux marbleized plaster fireplace, the random plank flooring. It's got an assortment of brass fireplace accessories, and then the recessed ceiling with the plaster medallions on top. It is really just, and it's a stunning, stunning, stunning room, as all of them are. I'm also showing them a photograph of the master bedroom with a view out to the foyer, with the textured wallpaper that we talked about, and the gold gilded mirrors. And then finally, I'm showing them a photograph of the guest bedroom, which is on the right side of the cabinet house, which the fireplace, you'll notice, has decorated tiles that go around the fireplace. It's got the granite hearth. It has a petite chandelier with a plaster medallion, and then those custom doors that you talked about, which are just incredible. They're just incredible.
Well, in most of the structures of that period, there wasn't a lot of attention to the guest bedrooms, the family bedrooms. Most of the detail was always in the master. So I backed off on the elaborate trim package in that guest room only because that was the norm of the period. Right.
Well, I'm showing them a little more of a wide view of the cabinet house now with the 9 rooms. And then I'm also showing them a photograph of your daughter photographing the Sahlberg, and just to give them perspective of how grand and how big this is, but also to thank her for these beautiful photographs of the cabinet house of the Sahlberg. So I just wanted to share that with them. And then finally, I'm back to the photograph, the main photograph of the Sahlberg, before we actually open the floor up to questions. If anybody has questions for Jimmy about the Sahlberg, about his work, about, we'll just open it up. If you got it, if you have questions, put it in the chat box. We're gonna go to the chat box. Okay. Someone's in love with the staircase. I am too. Okay, so, yep. I'm gonna go to my other. So what year was this made? That's a question.
That piece was started in, I got to back up a minute. This piece was started in 8 and completed in 10.
In 2010?
Yes.
Okay.
No, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry.
Right, because you showed it at the Tom Bishop show.
It was, I'm sorry, I had another piece that I built prior to that. This piece was started in 08.
Oh wait, no. In 2018.
Yeah.
That makes sense because you showed it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So, and you say it took over 2 years to build.
A little over 2 years, yeah. I don't I don't write down start and finish dates. I start it and I finish it, and then I say wow and move on to my next project. I don't know. I just when you get in, you immerse yourself into a project like this, you lose count of time.
Right. Yeah.
If you've never built a structure, try it. It's really therapeutic.
Therapeutic. All right, that's a good way. It's massive, so I can't imagine it's also frustrating at times.
By the way, when I work, and I'm not a youngster, but when I typically work a 10 or 12-hour day is a norm.
Right. So Louise asks, do you use small scale tools? And someone else asks, what are your favorite tools?
I like the pieces you get from Micromark that does the 45 and trimmer. It's a hand tool. It's about $36. You get it from Micromark, and It's got a yellow handle on it if you happen to have a Micromark book. But it cuts the 45s, and it's a handheld tool, and it's probably 90% of my miters are cut with that. I also have the miniature miter saws. I have a quite an extensive collection of miniature saws. Praxon I use. Praxon table saw is my favorite tool. But again, anything that I have find that is useful, I'll just go ahead and buy it. But I don't have that many tools, though. You don't need that much. You can overinvest in the tool category. So just find pieces that work for you and stick with it.
Yeah, but they're so much fun to buy, even though you never use them. They're nice to have. So I'm a tool whore. I love to acquire tools that I'll never use.
They're toys. Yeah.
They're toys. So I got another question for you, which was your favorite room to make?
The favorite room was my library.
The library. So you love making the library.
I love it. In fact, I built another library. I love the library.
Yeah.
It just speaks volumes to me. I don't know. It's masculine, but it's just when I go out into the shop, I'll always open the door to the library and just sit there and look at it, thinking, who the heck built that thing?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I think the library also is one of my favorite, and the grand foyer and the parlor. So yeah, they're all my favorites.
Well, all nine are my favorite, but again, if you're going to zero in on that, I have to say the library is the room that I really enjoy looking at.
We got a question about the books. Can they be read, and do they open up?
These books open with blank pages.
They open though, but that's pretty great.
They're real books.
They're real books.
Real books with individual pages, but they're blank.
Right.
The cost of a book with printed pages, when you're buying 2,000 of them, would just be mind-boggling.
Not feasible.
$6 or $7 a book.
Yeah. So Jimmy, I have a photograph of you in your work studio with one of your four-legged friends visiting you. So we're looking at you.
That's my assistant.
What's his name?
That's her. It's Darby.
Darby. Well, she's beautiful.
Yeah, she's my 3-year-old.
She's awesome. She's awesome. So it's a photograph of you actually in process of making the Sahlberg. It's an amazing photograph. I love it. So I think we're winding down with the questions. I'm pretty excited by just the participation and the energy and enthusiasm from the viewers. This is great. I also wanted to let everybody know that this Sahlberg is actually up on auction right now on the auction site called Invaluable. So if you go to invaluable.com and put in D. Thomas Fine Miniatures, you'll actually get the listing. It is a timed auction, which means that it'll be available for bidding through next Sunday, and it will actually close for bidding, and a winner will be awarded at 6 p.m. Eastern Time next Sunday, the 31st. So check it out. Go bid if you're interested in this auction, in this amazing miniature masterpiece. I want to thank Jimmy for being here for the interview. Yeah.
One thing before we close, if you don't mind,
No.
I do have a website for all of my work.
Yes. Do you want to tell us what the website?
It's jlsignatures.com.
Awesome. I will put the website address and the information about the auction up on my Facebook page, but also it'll be available via updates from my website. So if you're interested in getting updates, go to my website, dthomas5miniatures.com, and sign up for the updates, or check me out on Facebook, definitely Instagram, to learn more about who's next up for these interviews. And if you want to make suggestions about who you think we should interview, let us know. And maybe we'll get them on the schedule. But again, I want to thank Jimmy for being here today and for talking to us about this about your amazing body of work and this amazing cabinet house that's now going to find a new home. But we're going to post this whole video on our Facebook page so you can catch it in repeats. You can ask questions there and we can try to get them to Jimmy if you have any post-meeting questions. But we're going to sign off for now. Thank you for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. Have a great rest of the day and we'll talk to you soon.